So the project today is going to be trying to fix the steering box on my tractor, or technically just the shaft coming out of it. This shaft sheared off, and that connects to this arm, and then that turns the steering spindles up front there. This is a little bit older tractor with this design. I think most of the new tractors have just the steering cylinder up front on the axle, and that's probably better. But this definitely was my fault. I had it bound up in some thick trees, and I think I was up against a stump and I was turning the other way, and it was too much pressure and it just sheared off. So I was able to find this shaft, surprisingly, but I think that costs like $500. And then I could find the whole steering box with the shaft in it, and that was like $1,500 or $2,000. So I'm definitely not doing that. Hopefully, best case scenario, I can take this apart and weld this shaft. This is probably splined. Weld it back together, and hopefully it'll be good enough. So I'm gonna start taking that steering box out. These are gonna be the hardest ones back here. I really hope I don't have to take the fuel tank off. Put a custom bend in this wrench, and I was able to get to those back two. So now all that should be left is these hydraulic lines. Looks like the fuel tank's got to come off. Of course, it's full too. It's gonna be fun getting back in. That's connected. I don't really know how this comes apart yet. Okay, I don't know what that snap ring does. That's all I needed to take apart. So that wasn't that bad, but it's gonna be a little bit tricky. My plan is to weld this broken piece back on there, and I can kind of see, it doesn't really matter, but it kind of broke off with a hump there, so I can probably put it back right where it goes. But it's going to be tricky because there's an oil seal. I didn't know that this whole thing, I didn't know if this bottom part was like just grease, or it's the whole thing's holds oil, so I didn't really know that. So there's a seal right here, and that's right where the shaft comes out, but you can see that's the seal line. I should, as long as my weld, as long as I don't get too close to that seal line, keep my weld up above that, I think it should still seal all right. I'm gonna put a nice bevel on that, and then try to line it up best I can, as straight as I can, and then weld the piss out of it. But while I'm in here, I'm gonna see if there's any oil seal kits available for this. There might not be, but while I'm in here, like there's a seal back here, that one, and then in this valve block that I took apart that I didn't need to. I'm gonna see if there's a kit available, but yeah, this shaft I was able to find. It was actually a Kubota part number, so I guess they share some parts. But just this shaft, just this, not even this bearing block down here, was $500. So I'm trying to avoid that, and especially avoid the $2,000 whole new steering column. So there's my TIG weld. I got into the splines a little bit, but it should be okay. We'll see if it's strong enough. I'm just surprised this was the weakest point. I don't know why one of the little 3/8 ball joints or something didn't shear off, but there's quite a bit of leverage with that arm attached to this. So I couldn't really find a seal kit for this whole thing. I could find this seal. It was like $50. This one looks okay, so I'm just gonna put it back together and, you know, probably take it apart in a few weeks when it starts leaking, but it looks fine, so I'm just gonna put it back together. I don't know how to find the center either when I line up those splines. Got to figure that out. So I guess I'm gonna count how many times the wheel goes around each way and then straighten the wheels so I know where to put that arm on in those splines. Okay, I think that's fixed. We'll see if it holds up. Feels like I got the steering wheel centered up nice too, so I'm gonna go try to break something else now.